Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to the cluttered mess known as the southern wing of the stink bug works. What you see before you is building stuff and inventing things right before your eyes. This is what it looks like when we're making things. Today, get a load of this. You're going to like this. Let me put this little cool little coupler with a little isolation damper in there. This is the part I had to make because, see, this is a long leg and this is a long leg. Some of them have short legs, so I had to make a new one of those. I don't know if this vibration damper will be necessary. We'll find out. I could just use a straight coupler, but here's the plan. I'm going to have the motor about here, and then using this outer carbon fiber tube and this inner carbon fiber tube to hold the bearings and space them appropriately, I'm going to make a very small shaft that will be, about that long. So it'll be a little carbon fiber tube in between here with a bearing at this end, a bearing at this end, and a little bit of this shaft in between there. And then this bearing will be epoxied to eventually the motor mount. Now, my plan is to bottom of the hull. My plan is to have this coupler as close as I can to the bottom of the hull and as far forward as I can. So here's the plan. This little guy is going to go way, way up there. That's where I hope to mount my motor. Can you guys see that? That's where I hope to mount the motor, such that the coupler is right there. So I can get a wrench on it. So that's my key. I want the coupler right there so I can get a wrench on it. So I can push this motor way the heck up there and get the coupler just behind here. So the whole motor and little drive shaft unit will all be as one, and it will go in together like a motor, and that way I can get the coupler behind the cable and lined up to it. So there you go. I'm not going to have a chance to run the boats until maybe Friday. Here's what I got going. Maybe I'm going to tell you a story. I'll tell you a work-related story that might be fun. Anyway, so today's Monday. I have to prep for my court trial tomorrow. I live in a homeowners association. It's not a bad homeowners association. It's actually pretty good. But lately, we've got some flakes on the board, and I'm suing the board for election fraud, trying to get them all, except one, thrown off. And I have a pretty good chance of winning, so I'm going to sue my homeowners association for voter fraud. Because they did. Then that's on Tuesday. Wednesday is actually free, and Thursday, and here's what I want to tell you about. Thursday is going to be fun. Now, the work I do, I design OWTS, OWTS, on-site wastewater treatment systems, or better known as septic systems. I design on-site wastewater disposal. When you flush the toilet, it has to go somewhere, and for most of America, it just goes out into the ground. So That's what I do. I design those things. Well, I've been doing it for a long time. And the health department has some brand new, fresh out of school kids, and they have all the right pronouns and they know everything. And quite frankly, I'm getting old enough that stay tuned, boys and girls. I'm going to use salty language. I don't put up with bullshit anymore. So this little girl thinks she's going to save the world and comes out and tells me that a little drainage ravine that has been looked at countless times in the past, you have to set back your septic system from a drainage, that's been looked at countless times in the past by everybody and their brother, and everybody's agreed that, yeah, the setback to this is 50 feet. Well, she comes in and she makes up a term, just out of whole cloth. She says, well, this is a registered ephemeral drainage. Now, she didn't make that term up. Somebody told it to her. You know, she's out of college. She's never heard this. She's never been out on a piece of property looking at it. This is first-time stuff for her. And she makes up this term, and I called her on it. And I said, you know, whoever trained you didn't do you any favors and threw you under the bus. Well, I now have a meeting with the director of the department, the deputy director of the department, and a representative from the Board of Supervisors. Now, I've been alleging all along that some of these employees just make up rules, just out of whole cloth. You know, they say, you know, today I want you to put this system in and it's only going to cost you $300,000 to do it. But I think it's a good idea that you do this. I mean, that's the kind of thing that goes on. And so in inventing this term and trying to shove it down my throat, I was blunt, so to speak, in my response. And I've been to these health department meetings before. They're always a setup. Every time it's a setup, there's a bunch of them and one of you, and they're trying to get you. So they're going to come in and they're going to go after me for my language. They're going to say, what are you doing saying somebody threw her under the bus and her training's no good? And I already, see, they think they're going to catch me on this. And I already have my response. And this is my response. And I'm going to say this. If you think I'm going to sit here and allow some government employee to tell me what words I can and cannot say, why, we're looking at a big civil rights lawsuit looking at First Amendment violations. My dear ladies, I have the Constitution of the United States behind me, and the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights says I have the freedom to speak anything I want, and I also have the freedom to redress my government for my grievances to my government. And guess what? We're here to talk about fraud and corruption. We're done talking about language. Let's talk about fraud and corruption. So that's, in a sense, going to be the argument that they think they're going to catch me and saying, oh, you used bad language. We're all scared and we don't ever want you to do this again. And I'm going to tell them in no uncertain terms, if you don't like what I have to say, you have the wrong job. So that's what's on Dr. Jet's agenda and why I'm not running boats. Oh, by the way, for the record, the DeproJet without the battery is 215 grams. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.